give the floor to Dr. Jordi Oliver for his sharing session.
Okay, thank you very much for your introduction, for your invitation, and it's my pleasure to share a bit of what we do with you, your students, and I hope that we can keep with this relation in future years, in coming years. Just to make clear, we have 1 hour, Farah, 1 hour session.
Yeah.
But you want to have some questions, so
yes.
How long should I be?
Maybe we can do it like 30 minutes, half an hour. And
okay.
Right?
Okay, yes, perfect.
Right.
Yes, I will share my screen.
Right.
I have a long presentation, but I will skip some parts.
Right.
You will have the full presentation, all the slides that Farah will share with you.
Yeah, I've shared with them.
Can you see the screen? Okay, you have all the contents. I will just pick some contents to explain in half an hour, and then we can discuss, because I think that is also very interesting to answer your questions, or whatever you want to know about what we do, or what's going on in Spain or in Europe, in the circular economy, in industrial ecology, in life cycle assessment, etc. No? Just if you are curious, just use me for a while. So as Farah mentioned, I work at Inedit. Inedit is a consultancy, environmental consultancy, where we come along with companies and help them in their transition towards a circular economy. That means including sustainability in their decision making, both in more operational projects, so the eco-design of products, environmental improvement of packaging, but also in the more strategic side, so building circular business models or defining business strategies that include sustainability inside them. So we are a team now. We are 17 people from different disciplines. We have environmental scientists, we have engineers, designers, economists, journalists, political scientists. So it's a good mixture of disciplines, because as you may know, when we work on sustainability, this is a very interdisciplinary field. No, you will be trained with some skills, but when you come to the real world with the real projects, you need support from deeper knowledge from other disciplines. No? It's good that myself, as I was trained and I studied environmental science, I have a broad overview of everything, but I don't have a detailed knowledge of materials or engineering or economics. So we do have the team to work on these projects and this.
I see some familiar faces as well.
Yes, here you know, of course, Ramon, Carlos, the old ones, Julia, you know? And Raul.
Raul,
yes,
Raul.
So, some people in this team, we've been working since the last 15, 16 years. We did the PhD together, and we started the company in 2009. And now we've been, of course, recruiting new professionals that make us better. No?
Good, nice.
What we try to do is we work for public institutions, of course, but also for private. We focus on private sector because we think that is the side that requires more support in terms of knowledge, methodology, strategy to speed this change towards a more sustainable, more circular economy. So our projects, our proposals, our value proposition has to have a business mindset. So to be well received by business people, business managers that have a lot of pressure for having profits at the end of the year, but also they have to include sustainability, because this is a growing demand. I will talk about this from the regulation. So there's a pressure from regulatory pressure, from legislation, but also from consumers. So many companies are in a sandwich with pressure from the regulator and pressure from consumers. They need to be more sustainable and explain that they are more sustainable. So first of all, I will talk about the context. Why is circular economy a growing issue, topic in 2020? And it wasn't perhaps 20 or 30 years ago. First of all, we are facing a paradigm shift. The world has become small, too small, for so many people consuming so much in many parts of the world, with this not equally distributed wealth, and polluting the earth where we live. So when 250 years ago the Industrial Revolution started in the United Kingdom, there were plenty of resources. The technology had to be developed. There were about 1 billion people in the world. Now we are 7 times more. Our consumption per capita has grown, is higher, and we are seeing that the way that we produce and we consume is affecting the environmental quality of our planet. Here we have a picture of plastics in the beaches, which is a problem that has been rising interest and concern over the past 2, 3, 4 years, not more. But we have also climate change, we have biodiversity loss, we have a lot of environmental problems that are linked with the way that we produce and we consume in a global level. No? And this is not something that is said by Greenpeace or some NGOs, but also the World Economic Forum, that is a forum that joins world leaders, political leaders, economic leaders, business people every January in Switzerland. They publish the global risks assessment. No? And here you have the diagram of the 2020 global risks. And if you see, these people that, as I say, they are not environmentalists, they see that the environmental risks, that are those in green, are the ones that are more likely to happen and those that can have a higher impact on the economy. So these people are saying, be careful, the way that we are managing our economy is putting ourselves in risk because of environmental problems or impacts. And this is called externalities. I don't know if you have heard about this word, externalities. This comes from the economy. Externalities are costs that nobody accounts for. So when you produce concrete, when you produce steel, when you teach a class like this one, we are consuming resources, and we are less intensive than concrete manufacturers, but still we are consuming energy, and this energy has to be produced somewhere. And this class, this hour that we will share, would generate CO2 and greenhouse gases, no, that will be emitted to the atmosphere. So every activity has an impact, and this impact is not accounted anywhere. There are no incentives to prevent it. And if you see on the top 10 of risks for the economy, the top 5 that are more likely are environmental risks. So this is very relevant. So now environmental impacts are a high risk for the economy as we know it, which is good because we need to change the economy as we know it. But it's a pity that we need to suffer the consequences before we do anything. It was also Financial Times last year, I think it was on October, they published this front page. They saying that capitalism needs a reset to be resetted because there's a need for companies not only to make profits, which is it's fine, but also to be committed to a purpose. So all business needs to be to have a purpose. You cannot make profits assuming any social or environmental costs at any cost. This has to be included in the way we make business. As I said, this is not the newsletter from Greenpeace, it's Financial Times, which is also interesting to see that there's this concern, at least concern. I don't know if there's action still, but at least concern on what we need to change. And so there are some driving forces towards this change. I have commented some ones, but we can go in depth on some others. One is the lack of resources. Just to put an example, it's not that the resources will just finish and we end up of petrol, metals, or whatever. But if we take, for instance, copper, an element that is necessary for many goods, electrical and electronic goods, 2/3 of the global stock of copper has already been extracted. It's not in the mine, it's not under earth anymore. We have extracted it, we have used it. And the global rate, recycling rate of copper is 30%. That means that 70% of the copper that we take from the earth is being used once in one product and then is discarded as waste. This is just one picture for one element, but we could have the same figures, similar figures for many other elements. This makes clear that we are not using, we're not making a smart use of resources. It's clear that we could do it better, and that it's not smart to take one valuable resource, use it once, and discard it afterwards, because it will be more and more expensive to recover. So those sectors that are dependent on some resources, such as the electric batteries, which is a growing sector for the electric car, etc., is a strategic sector, need to change the way they operate. They cannot just extract, manufacture, sell, and discard. This linear model has to change, not because of an environmental concern, but because of the lack of resources. You cannot keep operating the way you did in the past. Of course, climate change is also a pressure, global trend that is putting pressure in many sectors, mainly because of regulation that comes behind this big global problem that requires urgent measures from all governments, companies, and people. There's also the legislation that is coming behind. Here in Europe, the European Commission and the European Parliament are pushing some strict regulations on banning the use of single-use packaging of plastics. It's coming stricter and regulations on carbon emissions, carbon tax, etc. This is coming in the coming years, and so companies feel this pressure and need to be more sustainable now in order to be competitive in the future. But also consumers, as I said, there's a need for being more transparent. There's young consumers want to align their values with the brands and companies that they use, where they consume, and are hitting them through the social media when they feel betrayed, when they feel that things are not being done as they thought. And this is something that marketing departments take into account. So as a consumers, as individuals, we do have power. Our power of purchase is a strong signal for the companies. They take this into account. Hyperconnectivity helps this to happen, to put in touch consumers with producers, to share knowledge, to share experiences, as we are doing now. There's a tendency towards a shift on business models towards service-based models. So a clear example is the automotive industry, which is shifting from selling units of vehicles, of units of cars, to leasing models or car sharing models that make use of a car, but in a different way. And the company keeps the property of the asset of the car and recovers it at the end of its life and can recover, reuse functional components. We're working on that, no? And also there's a growing urban society that is behind this. So this is the context. So it's a time for rethinking ourselves. It's the time for innovation. So what is the circular economy? Circular economy, let me explain it with a story. What you see on your screen, it's a bubble. It's a glass bubble that is called ecosphere. And this was a product of the space race of the 60s. During the 60s, you know that there was a race between the US and Russia, or the Soviet Union, to see which was the first country to put a man in the moon. And during this process, this race, I think that was of large interest for researchers, for scientists, was self-sufficiency. The concept of self-sufficiency, because they needed to have self-sufficient rockets, self-sufficient people living in the space. So from NASA, from the US, a spin-off was developed and is creating these bubbles that are manufactured with glass, sea water, corals, and then there are algae, prawns, and bacteria. We cannot see the bacteria, but you have to trust me. There's bacteria. So the sunlight make the photosynthesis, or the algae make the photosynthesis thanks to the sunlight. The prawns eat the algae. The excrements are degraded by the bacteria, and then the nutrients are used again by the algae. So it's a closed loop, and there are some uses that have been using this ecosphere, or having this ecosphere with generations of prawns and algae being reproduced for more than 10 to 12 years. So do you know any other system that is self-sufficient, that does not receive any material input, but does receive sunlight as the only source of energy and the only input? So
yeah, do you
if
guys
you
have
think,
any
or
idea?
if
Yeah. No?
maybe at another scale,
Self-sufficient.
it's a system, closed system, that is self-sufficient and only receives sunlight.
That's the only energy? I mean, energy just from the sun.
Is it like solar system?
The solar system could be, but maybe in a smaller scale. But you're thinking well. The solar system, and maybe our planet, no, the Earth, inside the solar system, works exactly like the ecosphere. It's a closed system that only receives sunlight. We don't exchange materials, and we are the prawns. So if the ecosphere gets too warm, we'll get boiled. Sorry for the joke, but this is very important. This is very relevant. When we design any production and consumption system, when we think on how can we produce and consume, we have to bear this in mind and be aware of the limits of the system where we live. It's a great system. It's a big system, but maybe for some resources it's too small now. And we have to make a smart use of the resources that are within our spaceship, that is the planet Earth. So the way we produce and consume cannot work anymore. We're gonna have plenty or infinite resources to extract, and we cannot just generate that amount of waste, no, material waste, wastewater or emissions to the air, to the atmosphere. We cannot continue like that. But if we see how circular we are in Europe, which you could think it's one of the regions of the world with higher standards, with more regulation, perhaps more social concern, we are only recovering 5% of the original raw material and energy value. So we are basically linear. We are 95% linear. We are consuming and throwing away. Use and discard, 95%. In a global average, there's a Dutch consultancy, the Circular Economy, that measured for the last 2 years, measured the circularity gap, so how circular the world economy is, and they claim that is 8.6% circular. So basically, we all are linear. We live in economies that use and throw away, and we need to change it very, very fast. Because we need to keep the value of resources that are present in the economy. So we basically need to change, and instead of selling goods and capturing value, so getting income, thanks to the new goods that are put in the economy, we need to shift this and get revenues thanks to the resources that bring value that are being used in the economy instead. So making profits from the real use of resources instead of the exchange of the stock. This is the circular economy in short, which is a model, a production and consumption model that wants to maximize the value of the resources that are in the economy, creating value for companies too. So not only it's not wishful thinking, it's not something that we desire it could happen, but something that we think it can happen, and we make it happen thanks to making it also convenient for business. There are several strategies, but I will skip it. I will go to the examples because we have 10 more minutes, and I think it will be more clear if we can see some examples. You have the slides, so don't worry. If you have to only keep one learning from this session after these hours, what do I have to remember? I would say this slide. So I would like you to delete from your brains the word waste. Waste does not exist. Everything is are resources. Waste is a subjective interpretation of the resources. Something that is not useful for me is a waste, but it might be useful for someone else, from other activities. So we need to talk about resources. What happens is that if we do not include these concepts from the design phase, so we need to design, to manufacture, thinking on that we are not generating waste, but generating resources, that someone will be able to give it a second chance, a second life after the first one. We're very bad on that. So just to put an example, the European economy has been dumping and selling and exporting waste to Asian countries for many years. Now, for the last 2 or 3 years, China, many other countries, I think Malaysia too, has banned the imports from plastic waste.
Plastic waste, yeah.
And this is great. This is great you did it, because if not, waste was not a problem here. No, it could be just exported, problem solved. No, but we were just transporting our problems to other countries, which have perhaps less capabilities to deal with it. So basically, this behavior was totally wrong. But thanks to this ban, now local companies have to deal with this waste, and they're putting pressure to manufacturers to stop producing some kinds of waste and seeing this as a resource. So we need to cooperate. Also, the circular economy is something that is ecosystemic change. We cannot rely only on large companies or only in SMEs. We need to cooperate. So universities like yours is crucial for this transition, and its collaboration with SMEs, with large companies, with regulation, with financial sector, with citizens is fundamental. We won't change by working individually inside our walls. So let's see some examples. One example that is now here, at least very common, is to see improvements in packaging. So companies that are being concerned on introducing recycled materials, on optimizing the material use, so reducing the weight of the packaging. Optimizing the logistics, so having more regular shapes so that you can full or track. So put more products in a pallet to reduce the secondary packaging and to make monomaterial packagings that are easier to recycle. So thinking on a life cycle perspective, I think you have heard about this in previous sessions in your class, but this life cycle vision is being introduced in the packagings more and more because of those pressures, regulatory pressure and consumer pressure. In this case, this is a pharma lab. They have reduced almost half of the carbon footprint of their packaging. So if you can do the same by reducing the consumption of materials by 40%, reducing the carbon footprint by 50%, is a good step forward. And working on packaging is convenient for companies because they don't touch their product, but only the packaging. So it's a good start because it's easier. There's a good room for improvement, and it's also very educational because once you have improved your packaging, then you can go and improve other parts of your company. This happens in small, but also in large companies, such as this Danish ship company Maersk Line. They are designing their ships in a way that they can recover 100% of the steel that is being used on them, so that they keep the strategic stock of resources. They know that the steel will be more expensive in the future. So if they want the company to be competitive in 2030, 2040, 2050, they have to break their dependence on the rising costs of steel. And now they are less dependent on that by designing the ships in a way they can recover this steel. This is part of a strategy of a big company that is not necessarily concerned by the environment, but is concerned by its viability in the long term. So here, sustainability appears as an asset for them. No? Another example of tendency in the circular economy is remanufacturing. Remanufacturing means taking back some appliances, some machinery, upgrading it and selling it again. It's the case, for instance, of Siemens, a German company, with the medical diagnose equipment such as X-ray or EMR, which are very expensive. This costs millions of euros for the hospitals. So it's something you cannot change every year, but of course needs to be updated. So what they do is to deinstall. They take the medical equipment, they upgrade it, saving 80% of the materials, because you can reuse many of the components, are perfectly reusable, have a longer life span, and reducing economic costs by 40%. So basically, in terms of business proposal, there's no other company, there's no competitor that can offer a new equipment with 40% lower costs. So in a way, if you work on a circular economy mindset, if you work remanufacturing, you're keeping your clients for a long run. It's not only one time that you have sold your equipment and then you have to fight again for the second round, but you can keep it in the long run. So it's very convenient. And this is not a pilot. This has been done by in more than 7,000 medical equipments right now. And also another trend is the servitization. Is a very strange name, I know. Sorry, but it's the name it has. It's the shift of the business models from selling products to selling services. And Rolls-Royce, that you might know by the cars, it also manufactures engines for airplanes. And since the 90s, they are offering another way of relation. Instead of selling the engine, they are getting paid by flight hours. So they are aligning the interest of the airline with themselves. If an engine breaks, then it's a high cost for the airline because it has to be repaired and it takes hours, and this means a cost of millions for the airline. So they say, don't worry, I'm aware of your problem, your pain. If I fail, I won't get paid. So it's a good guarantee for the airline. You just pay if you fly. And at the same time, it's a big change for Rolls-Royce in this case, because they can manufacture more durable, more higher quality, higher standards engines, because they are not selling it. They are not competing by price. They are keeping the property of these engines, so they will recover those materials and alloys at the end of the life of the flight of the plane. So this is very, very interesting. You have higher quality, higher standards, more durable products thanks to a shift on the business model. If you compete by price, you have to reduce the quality. Because if not, you will be more expensive than your competitors. But if you get paid by the use and you don't release the asset, then this aligns the interests of the company, of the planet, and also of the society in a way that it generates more jobs or quality jobs. And just to finish, you might have heard, because you are working in a subject of industrial ecology. But also the industrial symbiosis is part of the circular economy. How can we design industrial estates that generate a lower impact and that generate symbiotic relationships, win-win relationships between the different actors, companies, or activities that take place in a space, in a place. Now, this is the Kalundborg symbiosis in Denmark, which is the example. You can Google it and you will find a lot of information. But of course, we can reduce the impact of our production, not only working in our processes, in closing our eyes and only looking at ourselves, but also looking who is our neighbor and see if we have some waste flows for us that might be a resource for others. But maybe we can share the mobility of our workers. Maybe we can share human resources, machinery, knowledge, etc., etc. So there are so many things that we can share if we just talk to each other, which is not high tech, but talking to each other is something that has to be improved. We talk very little to each other.
Communication must be improved.
Yes, exactly. So more or less, this is 30 minutes.
Right.
So,
yeah, I think you've given some good overview over there. And just for your information, our program here, the bachelor degree program here, is a 4-year program in environmental health and safety. So we deal a lot with the environment, and many of our graduates went into the industry working as safety officers. Some became environmental consultants, and this particular subject, industry ecology, is one of the elective course that is offered to add some value to their learning experience, just to see, what else can be done, because this is more voluntarily, voluntarily action. And I think this is perfect examples that you've given, open up our minds on what's going on in the industry. And maybe without further ado, I will open the session for question and answers. Perhaps from the students, if you guys want to ask Dr. Oliver on the examples, perhaps. You guys can just turn on your mic and your camera as well. Where are you, Jordi? Are you at home?
Yes.
Right.
We are working at home. Even though today the lockdown has been relaxed, so we can move, but we decided to work from home at least on June and July, just to prevent any
unnecessary movement.
Exactly. As we work working as a consultant, it's not a big deal to be at home. We can be connected, and also clients understand the situation, so you can. Nobody requests you to go there. So we save a lot of time on traveling time, reducing our emissions too.
Wow, that's good. Yeah.
And see what happens in here. August we have holidays, so everything is closed. So we win 1 month, and we'll see on September what we do.
Right. So now you're going through the recovery phase of the COVID-19 pandemic.
I think so, but I don't know if we're recovering because we're doing better, or because it's the tourist season and everything needs to be open, because as we know, we're a tourist country and we're highly dependent on tourism. And I think that also the government was scared what would happen if we lost this tourist season.
Of course,
So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
All right. Do you have any questions, girls? You know what? This class has 25 girls and only 1 boy. So I think you guys must have some questions that you want to ask, and on circular economy, perhaps, because Jordi has been working with a lot of companies, I suppose. Small include small and medium industry as well.
Yes, we do work for all kinds of companies. Some very large that you might know. I mean, for instance, Nestlé, Coca-Cola. Yes, so this type of global brands, but also with SMEs that you want to know because they're very, very small. But one thing is that we see that, and it might happen the same in Malaysia, that this transition affects all type of companies from all sectors. So the size is not relevant. So large companies need to change, but SMEs too, and also from different sectors. We work a lot with agri-food sector because is one sector that's very concerned on sustainability, and because also consumers perceive that ecologic or organic or food is not only good for the environment but also for themselves, and also willing to pay a bit more for an organic apple rather than a conventional apple. So this is a market opportunity too. So they are there. But we are working also for the manufacturing sector, so the automotive industry or industrial machinery. Packaging is a sector with a growing pressure on the reduction of plastics.
So normally when these SMEs, when they come to approach your company to ask for consultation, normally what are the steps that you guys take to see the situation?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, in some cases, the client knows what they need. So I want the carbon footprint of my company. Okay, I want the improve my packaging. Okay, so sometimes it happens that you have a specific, clear request, but it's true that it's growing, the type of client that wants to do something but has not an idea on what to do, what is relevant, which are the costs, which are the revenues or the return of its investment. They're completely lost. They just know that doing nothing on sustainability is a risk. No? They have to move. So what we do is normally we're working more with qualitative tools, so making some kind of workshops. First of all, we need to know where is the starting point of the company, which are the operations, which are the processes, what have they done in terms of sustainability, even though they have done little, what have they done? Have they, for instance, requested their suppliers higher standards to their suppliers? Have they improved the efficiency of their processes? Are they dealing with waste or wastewater? Are they communicating anything? So what is the starting point? What have you done until now? And then a second session, we work on the vision. Where would you like to be in 5 years' time? So in the midterm, not 20 years, because then it's science fiction. No? But in 5 years, it's a good time frame that is far enough to put some ambitious targets, but it's close enough that you have to start now to meet these targets. So we create the vision with them, and by creating the vision, we need to study the market. Which are your competitors doing? Which are the trends on regulation? Which are the trends on demand for your specific sector? No? Which are the demands of your larger clients in case of B2B business? No? So where are the trends going? So where do you want to be? You don't need to be the best one, the first in class, but you and your position, with your resources, with your capabilities, where would you like to be in 5 years' time? So then what we do is an action plan. We try to link the current situation with the vision, with the desired vision, with strategic projects. So if you want to be, I don't know, if you want to cut your greenhouse gas emissions by 30% in 5 years, you need to start by doing the carbon footprint assessment of your organization. Okay, this is year 1. Then year 2, you need to act, to put some energy on reducing on some projects, on suppliers, on energy, on whatever. So we try to link the current position with the vision. But so this is I think that is growing. There's a growing demand of action plans towards a circular economy, towards sustainability, and by the first time, and it's very important, linking sustainability with business, because till now there was the business. We manufacture socks, we manufacture lamps, we manufacture whatever. And this is our business. And then we have one person that might be one of your students that is working with us or for us. He or she is in sustainability department. It's one person that has to do everything: quality, safety, environment, and reporting. But is someone that normally is isolated or far from business. And we're seeing that these people is getting close and close to the strategy of the company, taking decisions, because you won't be sustainable just by making small improvements on your processes, but on influencing the strategy, the targets of your company. No? And so these profiles, these professional profiles, the ones that you are training, that are attending now to class, I think that are being more and more important in companies, at least here. It's a slow process, but it's good news.
Mr. Oliver,
right, you have a question.
May I ask a question? Yeah. If every company became aware and compete to one another, what are challenges and issues arising on eco-innovation development?
Sorry, I haven't heard the last.
Challenges towards eco-innovation approaches. Yeah.
There are some trends that are common for all the economy, and others that are more sectorial. No? For instance, in the agri-food sector, there's a concern on water use because there are some. I don't know if it's the case in Malaysia, but there are some countries that have water scarcity problems. So there are some concerns that are common by sectors. So it's true. And sometimes we work on sectorial panels because sometimes it's difficult to work with one single company. So we join 3, 4, 5 companies from the same sector, from retail, from logistics, from agri-food, and we make them work together on identifying trends, on identifying potential solutions or lines of action, a bit general, but lines of actions to
work together,
to overcome the barriers and take advantage of the opportunities. And then we sit with the different companies individually and see in their context, in their capabilities, possibilities, what can they do? Because what we see is that each company is different. We work, for instance, for multinational companies or transnational companies with very low capacity to design in a national level. No, we work with Nestlé, but we work with Nestlé with national brands because you won't touch, I don't know, the chocolate strategy because it is decided in Switzerland, and you cannot get there, and you cannot change this, no, in the company. So the decision is very limited. But we can work with companies that have full decision powers. You talk to the CEO directly, and here they can be more ambitious, maybe. So having analyzed the trends, having analyzed the lines of action, the way that they include them is very different. So, eco-innovation is we work out on tailor-made projects. And this is the pity for us because we're consultants. It would be great if we could replicate the project. It would be better
have to look at the nature of the economy of the industry, right? Right.
Yes. And we deal with people, and dealing with people is complex because some people has tried some solutions. No, we tried it 10 years ago and it didn't work. So we want to do it. Okay, but technology has changed. The materials have changed. People have changed. The market have changed. Everything have changed in 10 years. No. We tried it. No, it won't work. Okay. But then the competitor tries it and it works. But we have to adapt a lot on the different people, situations, which is part of the fun that we have.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Hi, Doctor. I have one.
Okay.
All right, Nadia. Yeah.
Since you have a company, right?
Yes.
Has your company ever created or invented any eco-innovation and tried to sell it to other company and they will use it until now?
Okay. We are a consultancy company, so we sell our services, knowledge. We have tried to do some products, no? And we have created, for instance, a brand of backpacks made out of recycled plastic and marine plastic from marine litter. But we are good on designing the product, on creating the brand, but we are very bad on selling the product because we have plenty of prototypes in the office. We are good creating prototypes, but then this is not enough. The prototype is just maybe 1/3 of the effort. Then put it in the market, finding the the channels of commercialization is something that we're not good at, and we failed here. No, we tend to do this for others that have these channels, this knowledge. We develop products for our clients. So we join with them, we develop the product, and then they put it in the market. This is what we do. What we've done that has been more successful, just to be a bit positive, is software. We have developed software for carbon footprinting, which we are selling. We're selling, or we're using it with clients. We have developed self-assessment tool of circularity that is in our website. If it's free to use, so if you want to go there, it's inedit, inedit.barcelona. It's there's an English version of the website. You can look for the English version and go to the self-assessment that is on the home, and there you can just make a test of this tool. Just put a fake name if you want, or wherever. But you can select the sector of a company, and we make them 5 to 15 questions to make an initial diagnosis of circularity. So we are more successful by developing this kind of products, software, digital, rather than physical products. Which
do you know? Do you use any kind of tools other than the self-assessment? Is it to see how the company is doing? Right? You use any other tools like LCA or maybe material flow analysis and
yes. We work a lot on LCA and carbon footprint. Water footprint is also growing, and here we use regular softwares, as you know, CIMA Pro, Gabi. Yes, we use this kind of software for these projects. Makes little sense for us to develop a software when there are some that are commercial that work very well and that are there, and that, because you need a lot of investment for developing software. You need to invest a lot of time and money, and it gets outdated very soon. It's a constant investment. So for us, as we are a small company, we cannot
afford to
be software developers. No. We would lose. Our profits will go there and more.
Thank you for answering.
So I think it's here. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. Going back to your question, I think a good recommendation would be to do what you are good on, what you are strong, and create collaborations with people that are strong in other areas. So don't try to design, develop, produce, sell product. This requires a lot of different capabilities, experiences. Focus on what you are good. In our case, is design, is developing new ideas, new solutions, and then let another partner produce and market it. Because well, if you're good in everything, go ahead. But from our experience, is that we cannot be good on everything.
And you briefly mentioned about the regulators, those who set up the policies, the guidelines and everything. How's the policy over there in EU right now? And particularly in Spain, perhaps?
Well, we are, Spain goes behind the EU directives and regulations. So, so the role of the European Commission is very, very important on raising the standards. Till now, the European Commission has talked more than done, but we'll see. We have a new commission that is working for the last year. I think they are quite new. So we hope that we will start seeing some new directives very soon. And now in Spain, there are some directives that are being transposed that are into national laws regarding waste. So there's a new law that is being developed in the parliament regarding waste, that is very restrictive on the single use of plastic packaging, but because of the European regulation, and will extend the extended producer responsibility for other sectors. Now it was into force for cars, for packaging, etc., but will be also for textiles and other sectors. So it will be extended, and this is important because then when manufacturers, when the companies or distributors, companies that put goods in the market are responsible for the end life, they will start thinking on how do they manufacture. They cannot put more waste in the market because it will be more difficult for them to deal with this waste. And so this is, for me, this is one crucial, very important step to make producers responsible for the waste that they generate for those goods that are put in the market, because this changes everything, the way of thinking. And it makes sense. So if you produce something that cannot be recycled, that cannot be reused, that is directly a waste, then you have to pay more for this waste management. It's your problem. You haven't done your work properly. So who pollutes pays, no? The polluter pays.
The polluter pays
and
principle.
It's fair. And it's fair, and it provides the correct incentives for designing better products and processes. So this is now in the parliament, and there's also in the parliament a climate change law, which sets national targets for emissions reductions, and we'll see how is this being developed. Having the law is one step, but it's not enough. Then we need regulations. We need this to be implemented. We have laws that have never been implemented, and so we need to push every day in every corner, because if not, I fear that some laws will be just abandoned because there's
For example,
no capacity.
do you have any particular example on those laws?
Yes, for instance, the Catalan law on climate change, which was very innovative, was approved in 2017 with a very large consensus in the parliament. All the parties voted in favor, except one that
against it.
Abstain. No, not against. It was an abstention. So this law is into force, but it's not being applied. By January 2021, it is supposed that all goods should have 10% of the labels with carbon footprint information on them. And this is in the law. This is written there. But there's no any enforcement on how to do it, which methods, which databases. So it will be impossible to fulfill. No? It will be absolutely impossible.
I think that's a really good example.
And this is a mess. So if you have the opportunity to influence on the regulation, on environmental regulation in Malaysia, I think that is very important also. Not only to have an ambitious law, which in a certain moment can be written in the law, but also be aware that it has to be accomplished, that has to be realistic as well. And if it is not, the government has to put the resources, the economic resources, the people, and the knowledge to make this possible. If not, then it won't happen. Even it doesn't matter if it's a law or not, if it's not feasible. So we are also facing a lot of difficulties in this transition. We don't know where we are going. The transitions are uncertain. It changes the normal way of doing things. You don't have a clear path in front of you, but you have to walk. And by walking, you find the path and you create a path. And maybe our path is not the one that you need in Malaysia because your circumstances are different. But I think that we have to share this knowledge from Spain, from Catalonia to Malaysia and vice versa, because we can prevent some mistakes that you or us can do. And then this is important, to share experiences.
All right. We have any other questions? Do you have some more time, Jordi? Is it okay?
Yes, I do. Yes.
All right.
If you have questions, I'll be
please go ahead.
available.
Let me just go through this. Girls and boy, do you have any other questions?
Hello, doctor. I have a question.
Yes, Ada, please proceed.
Hello.
Okay. Can you tell us what kind of change would you suggest to industries to implement work environment in order to move towards a circular economy?
Maybe
Yes,
Sada, do you have an example of certain economy or certain industry, or just in general?
In general.
In general, okay.
In general, I think that comparing when we go to the doctor, the first thing we need is a diagnose. What do we have? Have a headache, stomachache. What do we need a diagnose? So any company, in order to start walking towards circularity, needs to start with a diagnose. Which are your problems? What is more relevant in terms of sustainability, in terms of circularity for your company, in your sector, in your context? Which are the most pressing, more important issues to deal with? To have a diagnosis, then you will know if the problem is on the waste generation, if the problem is on energy consumption, is on suppliers, is where do we have the problem? Always with a life cycle perspective. I think you have studied this, and this is very important. So don't look only on the facilities, on the premises of the company. This might be important, of course, and when it's a heavy industry, then it's very relevant, of course. But for many activities, you see that the environmental problems are not in the factory. Maybe on the agriculture, for instance, for textile industry, maybe the problem is in the cotton farming, because there's a use of pesticides, of fertilizers, wherever. And maybe your problems are on the supply side. Not on how you manufacture the fabric, which can be improved, yes, but the problems are there. Or the problem is on the use phase, because people washes and irons your clothes with consuming a lot of water and energy, and so you have to design your clothes in order to reduce the need for cleaning or ironing, etc. So the strategies you have to apply depend a lot on where the environmental problems are. And so my recommendation would be this, and the carbon footprint for organizations is a good tool. It's a good tool because even though it's partial, because it only accounts for climate change, but it gives you a good picture of where are the problems of your company. Is it on the logistics? Should I care about the logistics because I'm an international company? No, I sell in Europe, but I manufacture in Asia. So, of course, transport, I guess transport is very relevant. But when you make the assessment, you see that no, the transport accounts for 3% of the impact. So don't care about the transport because it's not relevant for you. You can improve it, yes, but it will improve. Working a lot, instead of 3% of your emissions will be 2.5. And by working with the suppliers, with production, with clients, you can improve a lot more. So yes, this diagnosis would be the starting point I would recommend.
All right, good. Really nice. Any more questions? Would like to ask? Yeah, hi, who's there? Okay.
Hi, Farah. Okay. Hi, Dr. Jordi. So has any other people or company are influenced by what your company is doing, which is eco-innovation? That's my question.
What's your question again, Maisara? Can you repeat? Sorry.
Are other people or company also influenced by what Inedit is doing, which is eco-innovation?
The company of the people in our clients' companies. Okay, I understand.
All right.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, like. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Sometimes we tend to think that we have society and companies. No, the companies is something that is there, but then you realize that there's no this split with people and companies. People work in companies, and so if you are a citizen that is concerned on sustainability in its everyday life, you will be a worker concerned on sustainability, and you won't like to work in a company that doesn't take these issues into account. So you will be a worker, an activist worker, if possible, in your company. So what we do is to create alliances with people. I said before, no, we work with Coca-Cola, we work with Nestlé. Yes, but we don't work with the brand. We don't work with the logo. We work with people that is employed by these companies, and these people are like you, are like me, have needs to be inspired, and this is what we try to do. Our team creates partnerships not with companies but with people. And yes, many times we need to train these people. Most of my everyday job and dedication is to raise awareness. So sessions like the one we are doing now, I do it very often with people, with employees. So in company, in sectors, everywhere where I'm allowed to talk. Yes, because we are in a transition that needs to create and raise awareness, to generate desire. No, we need to create. I want this. Wow, yes,
the drive
I want.
to change.
Me too. So this is my role. No, engaging people that works in companies to make projects with us, of course. Well, in general, if they want to make projects, it's great. But if they make it with us, then it's perfect.
Yeah, that's really good.
Thank you.
Point of view, right?
Welcome.
Any other questions? You mentioned about use phase just now, Jordi. So most of the time, it's not. It depends on the consumers to act on it. What do you say about that? What do you think about that? I mean, the impact could come from the use phase would be the biggest part.
Yeah, many times the impact of the use phase is very high, and companies lose the control of their goods. They can just when the product leaves the gate of the factory, they lose the control, and it's very difficult to know how the client will use this. Here, the design can influence. We can design products to influence the behavior of consumers in the use phase. In here, we have worked. I have a paper on ergonomics of design, for instance, for dishwashers or for washing machines, for laundries, on how the display can influence you to select an eco program or not.
I see. Interesting. Yeah.
So you can design to influence the decisions of your clients. We are also moving towards economies that are service-based economies. So designing services is more and more important. We are working with, for instance, for restaurants. How can you design a restaurant to make it more sustainable from the use experience of the clients?
How did that work come in? Wow, interesting.
Yeah, and then also I think that the shift from product-based economy towards a service-based economy can make things easier. With systems of leasing, systems of cars, of clothes, of furniture, you can have a better control of the use phase. So you don't lose it. It's your asset that is being used. You know who's using it, how is it using it, and you can recover it at the end. No?
Right.
And influences the design or more durable design. As like the example I explained of Rolls-Royce, but this is happening with furniture sector. This is happening with clothes. You just don't buy a sofa, you rent it for 2 years,
Right.
and then send it back. But then the sofa will need to be designed in a way that is durable, repairable, easy to clean, etc., etc. No? So it's not the same design.
Right. Really good examples there, I think. Yeah. Any more question from the floor? Burning questions, perhaps. Jody, just wanting to know what's the update now. So you guys use a lot of LCA software. Do you guys still conduct MFAs as well? I mean, for particular projects or any? I see during the diagnosis part.
Yeah, we use MFA, but not for companies, but for the projects we do with regions or countries.
Regions
so
and
more
countries.
in a territorial scale. No?
I see. All right.
We work for a province in Spain. So we have done the MFA of some sectors in this province, so that we have a picture of the resource consumption and use in this place, and it allows the decision making from policymakers, so that they see, wow, we are consuming a lot of organic matter or a lot of chemicals or metals, and it helps to put the picture on the table and discuss on flows and on quantification of flows. Because if not, so you break the intuitive decisions or intuitive discussions. And MFA for us is very useful in this sense.
Interesting, because we see that you mentioned terms that the students have been exposed to, they learn in class. So it's really good to putting those in context. Yeah, I hope you guys understand the situation over there, because they have done some exercise on MFA, on LCA, so they know what you're talking about, hopefully. And any more questions, girls?
The tools that you're teaching are useful, I would say.
Right. Any more questions, students?
Doctor, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Like ever since Mr. Jordi started his company, has any company ever rejected his consultation or services and ended up not using the idea?
Yeah.
Yes, dozens. Yes.
So that happened.
I would say, yes. Of course, I would say half of the offers that we do are not successful. That's why we do hundreds of them.
I'll take it as a challenge then.
Yes, but sometimes the rejection is due to, for instance, the price. People want a service or consultancy, but they are not willing to pay, which is a barrier for us. Others because there are other competitors that provide better support. You have to take into account that we are not alone. We are quite specialized, but some companies offer more services that we do, not only circular economy, but also, I don't know, education or financial reports and legal assistance. And they have a broad portfolio, so all the company works with them because they can cover a lot of issues. No? So because we have competitors, price, because it happens that technical departments see the need for a change, but board managers don't. So there's no the endorsement, the necessary endorsement, support for leading for leading a project or starting a project. So there are many different barriers, but of course the economic is an important one.
Right. Yeah. So maybe your clients, are they happy sometimes with your suggestions, with your consultation? Are they happy with the end product? I mean, the outcome of it. Are they, do they see reduce in their operational cost, or what are the feedbacks that you get normally from them?
Yeah, normally the feedback we receive is very positive. We're happy with that. We have having happy clients in consultancy is very important because they will repeat and they will recommend you. So having a good reputation is very important, essential. And the results that they achieve depends on the type of project. But in many times, for instance, when we work on the eco-design of products or packaging, that means introducing sustainability in the design process, we achieve also cost savings, because what we do is to optimize the use of materials, the logistics, the energy consumption. We make it easier to recycle. So the environmental improvements come along with cost reductions, and is very well received. If you can save with a project not only the environmental impacts, but hundreds of thousands of euros to a company every year, this is very well received.
Very well received, yeah.
Yes. In other cases, it's more difficult to quantify the benefits of a project, because we might be working on getting more sustainable suppliers, or improving the collaboration with suppliers, being more transparent, having the ability to manage them. And this is more difficult to quantify, which is the return of this. This is, of course, important for the company, but you don't know if you have improved your revenues because of that, because of the digitalization process, because of marketing campaign, because of the communication, because it has rained. It's difficult to see the direct relationship between a project on the circular economy and the direct benefit, profit for the company.
Right.
This is a pity. We would like to work on that. So if you have any ideas, are welcome. We would like to start projects saying this project will represent a saving of X thousand euros. This project will improve your reputation, brand reputation, 3 points. If we could do that, it would be great. But we don't know it until the end of the project.
Of course, yeah. I think that serves as a really good concluding remark on your presentation and sharing session today. And maybe you would like to advise our students here on what we can do on personal basis. I don't know if you have any suggestion here as a consumer, as an individual.
As an individual, as you are students, I would say that you have to work on what you like, what you really feel full of joy, because passion, yes, put all the passion on your work. I think that sustainability, industrial ecology is a great field. where you can have very rewarding experiences because you wake up in the mornings to work, and this can be hard sometimes, but at the end of the day, you have reduced pollution, you have reduced emissions, you have reduced wastewater, and this is very rewarding. So just put passion on what you do, and because